we have a crazy story from PokeBeach in the Pokemon TCG community. Millions of dollars of prototype Pokemon cards, maybe forgeries, retire creatures employee involved. So yeah, the Pokemon community gets pretty hype when there's like beta game information, and now that seems to have overlapped with the Pokemon TCG investing grift and bubble that's been going on. So the authenticity of Pokemon TCG's famous prototype cards. I actually heard nothing about these prototypes, so not as famous outside the TCG, because normally you hear about some kind of stuff like this. So last year, hundreds of prototype Pokemon cards began to sell in collecting circles from the personal collection of this guy. One of the original creators of the Pokemon TCG, he worked at Creatures until 2008, recently attended events to sign some of the cards. Grading company CGC worked closely with him to verify the card's authenticity. And maybe this is where it was like, oh yeah, we have like the famous prototype cards and they got a lot of press. And now it's looking real bad for CGC because they did this. The CGC Guide to Prototype, Playtest, and Presentation Pokemon Cards. So yeah, they said the same thing. We got this guide to verify the authenticity and history. I helped CGC Cards identify and authenticate these test cards. Some I remember having marked for corrections. I was also the one who created the original back design. So a really interesting and cool story. Also, like, we have some really cool looking cards, the prototypes and the playtest. The prototype cards represent the earliest days of the TCG, produced in 1996 before base set. The proof of concept cards even just used the sprites from the games. And then we had the beta designs from Mitsuhiro Rita and Ken Sugimori. Over the last few days, one of the buyers used an obscure forensic technique to reveal many of the cards were printed in summer of 2024, and this includes cards that CGC authenticated coming from directly from Akabane's collection. So most printers imbue hidden watermarks on their pages that contain information like the printer's serial number and the date the pages were printed. This is so government and law enforcement can track the origins of documents. And the crazy thing is, I've never heard about this. So you'd expect if someone is faking cards worth tens of $20,000s of dollars or trying to counterfeit things, they would be aware of this and try to dodge it. Many other collectors have also posted scans of their cards, discovering that theirs were printed in 2024. So we have the examples. In a statement made to PokeBeach, PFM said, "It's really disheartening to find this out. More than the financial aspect, I thought it'd be cool to own a piece of history, and it's unfortunate that it turned out this way." It's currently unclear if some or all of the cards are fake, since last year, fans have already distinguished different print runs of the cards. It's unknown if there's a real, original print run. And that also kind of goes into some other stuff. Another observation I want to mention, the alpha prototypes were designed in a tool called ClarisWorks 4, which was available in 1995. Here I emulated an old Mac and ran it, and then it kind of shows like there's different qualities to the prints of these cards. So we have the 10 alpha prototype, and then we have the authentic one. When looking at alpha prototypes, there's clearly a set that is higher quality than the others, and this is interesting because some alpha prototypes have no dots. Most alpha playtests display a different dot pattern because of a different printer and doesn't seem to have date information. And then I found some alpha playtest copies and delta playtests that have the 2024 dots. So the legit ones just don't have these dots because they were made with a different kind of printer. However, it's unclear if Akabane knew any of these cards were printed in 2024. Seems unlikely a former Pokemon employee would be involved in anything like this, especially with how seriously the Pokemon company takes their IP. Also, it's Japan. I imagine how seriously they crack down on criminality like this would be insane, because several millions of dollars of cards have sold since last year. Prototype Pikachu recently sold for $20,000 at Golden Auction House, and it's one of hundreds of cards. So yeah, $24,000 for the Pikachu. I don't know why it's even $19,000 for the Coughing, but all right. Collectors are currently contacting auction houses to remove listings of the cards until the full story is uncovered. CGC has not made a public statement yet. I mean, this happened really quick, January 26th. So yeah, they want to make sure that they have all the information before making a statement. However, the auction house has made a publishing. We're aware of recent claims regarding CGC graded Pokemon prototype and playtest cards that have been sold across various platforms. CGC has assured us they're taking the allegations seriously and are conducting a thorough review. So that's why they haven't made a public statement, but they've made a statement through Auction House. We're staying in close communications, and we will update. So, the first Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle cards sold on the secondary market have been identified with 1996 watermarks. These cards have higher quality backs compared to other prototype cards. Fans already noticed this last year. So far, all other identified cards have 2024 watermarks with the low quality. Oh, that makes things pretty spicy, because that means CGC was just grading and slabbing low quality counterfeits. I guess that goes back into this one more. I thought it was like the higher quality one was like a modern printer, and then those are the sketchy ones, but no, it's the lower quality looking 10 that might have some stuff. Also note the shared print artifact that goes to the Pikachu text. It's not limited to Pikachu. And yeah, you can see the artifacts where it's like, oh, that's just a white dash that goes through it, and it's very consistent, so it just seems like a copy instead of a fresh print. And then another update as of 7:30 a.m. Thank you for reaching out. We're aware of the statements made online regarding CGC graded prototype and playtest Pokemon cards, and they're conducting a full investigation. So we're going to wait on more information about this one. But here we have the breaking story. And yeah, when you pay tens of thousands of dollars, people doing forensic stuff to find out legitimacy, that makes sense. Now this is finally, the story has finally come out. And then there's some crazy stuff. Signed in October 2024, printed in August 2024. The thing I'm most interested in seeing is how Akabane, like what happens to Akabane in all this, and how CGC kind of conducts their investigation, what they say about the cards being real or fake. But yeah, I've actually never trusted CGC when I saw that. Like, this is why, you know, ever since CGC started collaborating with content creators, put from so-and-so's creators break, etc., I haven't trusted them. Yeah, like, they just came into the grift of the TCG investing, and then they don't have that long credibility for Pokemon cards and the ability to actually distinguish fakes and counterfeits. It really seems like they've just been slabbing whatever, and they are also going to be crushed by high volume and high demand with all the people trying to get everything they ever open graded to make a few extra bucks now. So yeah, they're just slabbing whatever, and now we got a big story coming out. And then there's an update. The first Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle have been identified with the watermarks, but all of the cards have 2024 watermarks. So yeah, still digging into it. That was still like a day ago, though. All I can say is I've seen evidence of 3 different printers for the colored variants, and one of them has 2024 in the metadata, majority of the beta, and the majority of the alpha have different sets of print dots. In other words, high quality beta, no dots, low quality beta, dots in the OP, alpha playtest, dots above. So you can actually like kind of see it. And that's where we see like all these different things. So yeah, different printers were used for the playtest of an up-and-coming company trying to make a trading card game, and then people are forging afterwards, and there's different qualities because of it. And then other playtest cards have been able to be authenticated, which is also interesting because yeah, it seems like there was a massive collection dump, and then people scan the collection dump, and those are the cards that aren't legit. But then some of the other ones that have been able to get out over the years that people have had and gotten their hands onto. Because it seems like there's other ones from other collections. And that could be what's also getting Akabane done in. Because he's not the only one to have these cards. He has his playset, but other people have distributed theirs, and that's how we have playtests and all kinds of stuff getting out for all CCGs. So now we have his. You can't say anything conclusive until an investigation or something happens in the courts. But that's also another interesting layer to this. Not that, like, oh, every prototype and playtest out there is fake. It depends on whose collection it comes from. And the dude that worked with the card grading company and signed it and then dumped his collection now has print dots or some kind of way to track and say, like, yeah, these were actually printed this year. And there's also been, other, like, it's more than what we've just seen as well. There's going to be the alpha and the beta. He had the playtest, but then there's the other, like, closer to release cards. These are also in English, so it also shows, like, yeah, there's a lot of these cards out there to compare with, and it seems like CGC didn't compare because they are so scarce. They're like, hey, creator, we can trust you to, like, tell us all these things, right? And let us use your collection as the control for how we're going to be grading these. This is speculation, but I believe the backs could also be scans or copies. For example, the two above have the same hairline. So, like, yeah, that could just be a printing error and not actually a part of the print. And then because you're copying that means you're copying the errors, and that shouldn't happen. So, yeah, they just slabbed it. So, yeah, other people are digging into it. They're doing it. A lot of discussion. A lot of people pulling out their cards and trying to get, like, the highest resolution, highest quality for other people to check it. Example of high-quality beta, as far as I can tell, it doesn't have dots, which suggests to me it was probably printed on a different printer. Can't say anything about when. High-res images of the back, because now there's back shenanigans. If anyone has alpha Pokemon scans, please post them. I own this far-fetched, whoopsie, and the dots are not clearly as clean on the betas. However, the pattern does repeat. Printer is likely different and not the decoded one. So yeah, like, printers doing different things and having different codes and patterns. But people are now posting, and there's now it's data collection and comparison and all that fun stuff signed by Akabane. Assuming the signature is real, it's quite damning for his level of involvement. If like if that's like his actual print and how he's allegedly counterfeiting it, but then he's saying like, oh yeah, these were the legit ones, how I made them back in 1996. Which also explains how they're all getting perfect 10s and 9s on this like recent batch if you just print them out and then cutting them to be flawless. And it would also explain the quality. If even though it's like a modern printer, it's still not going to print as high quality as something professional grade even in the 90s. And then photos of prototype surface in 2022. So yeah, there's a lot more than just the PokeBeach article. And people are still like speculating, growing. And there's just like tons of cards. And it's like, yep, we certify this authentic. So CGC in hot water. Potentially. Akabane, he's going to jail forever, allegedly. And now I'm more interested in seeing how this story develops. Since it seems like the methods and stuff are pretty well done at this point. Some people are fine. It's like, yeah, I've got one. This actually has a 1996 test on it. Cool. So that's another really interesting thing about the prototype and alpha and beta Pokemon cards, is that there was a ton of them. And then there was a huge drop that CGC did their big article on. Also, theirs goes into pretty good detail because we have all the playtests. Alpha, beta, delta, presentation. So like every step of the finalization to this card game. And then like only certain ones, it seems more just like the playtest and the prototypes are the ones getting hit. But the older ones that also just have a lot floating around. Man, look at the back of that card. I printed that out yesterday. Hope you guys enjoy the video. What a crazy story. And then, like, when everything comes together, that's when it gets really interesting. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.